All right, what's up, everybody? This video is more like a response video. One of my subscribers who watched one of my other videos asked me to ask my take on the process of legal immigration. I believe it was the video about border separations. So, I thought about it. I thought, well, it must be almost impossible to come here legally with so many people are coming illegally, right? So this video is for one of my subscribers, Fluffy3075. So if you get a chance, go check him out. Go see what his channel is doing. All right. So legal immigration. There's I did a little bit of research on it, and I found out that there is a few ways that you can come here. You can come here on a visa, as a refugee, with a green card, or as a citizen. Okay, so what does those mean? All right, so first off, on a visa originally was meant for border towns in Mexico, where half the town sits on the United States and half the town sits in Mexico, and there was factories that were in the United States side, and on the Mexican side there were workers, and they said, okay, how do we figure this out? And they said, well, we can do like a temporary, like you're allowed here, but only to work in this factory, but then you have to go back, day and night kind of thing. Like you stay here during the day and work, and then you go home at night. And then it was like, well, it doesn't really make sense to go home at night. I get off late or I come in early or whatever. So then I said, okay, well, we'll let you stay for, 30 days. And then they would stay for 30 days, and then they would have to renew their visa. Then it got to a point where renewing visas was getting a little bit tedious. So they started saying, okay, we'll give you 6 months, or we'll give you a year or whatever. And the visas slowly started to grow out. It was border towns, and then it was the town next to the border town, and then it was 5 towns over, and then it was 50 miles away, 100 miles away, whatever. And then it didn't really make a difference. A visa was just if you were coming into the country for any period of time to do some kind of work, or that kind of thing. Now, there's a non-immigrant visa, and a non-immigrant visa means that you're just coming here for a period of time, and then you're leaving. If you're coming here for a construction site, you're building, skyscrapers, that you're going to be here for the duration of the skyscraper being built, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it takes, and then you're going to return to your country of origin. And that's a H visa, and a B1 visa is for someone to stay here and stay here forever. They're going to live here permanently. So like a lot of like sports athletes get that visa. They come from, wherever they are coming from, baseball players or football players, whatever. They come into the country and they plan on playing for their 10 or 15 years, in the sport, and then plan on continuing to stay here and spend their millions of dollars here, and all of that other stuff. So those are the two kinds of visas, and it all depends on the length of stay that they're going to be here, and a couple other conditions from the United States or whatever. But a visa is one of the quickest ways that somebody can enter the country. You have the refugee status, and that's people who can't return to their country of origin. Now, the refugee status is in the whole world. It's not just the United States. Every country has a refugee status, and a refugee status process is ran by the United Nations. So anyone who comes on a refugee status, let's say you come to the United States and you say, oh, I can't go back to, South America because they're killing all the Catholics or Jewish people, or they're all the Republicans or all the Democrats or whatever it is. I can't go back there because if you send me back there, it's going to be an instant death sentence. Well, then you apply to United Nations, and the United Nations decides, and I think it's countries that are within the United Nations, they decide what country you're going to go to, right? How that decision is made, I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that it's the 1% of refugees come to the United States. Only 1%. So if claiming refugee ship or whatever is probably not a quick or easy way to get to the United States. You know, you have a 99% chance of not getting to the United States, even if you are in the United States claiming to be wanting refugee status. You still have to go to the UN, still have to put in your paperwork, and then they'll send you. And you know, it may be on your language or whatever, that maybe there's a better place that they can put you that you would fit in better. Your comfort of living and all that other stuff. Because I would imagine that if they took me, an English-speaking American, and dropped me into some country where I don't speak the English, don't speak the language, I don't know their religious beliefs and all that other stuff. I'm not used to the food. Like, I'd just be miserable, you know. And here I am claiming refugee. I think it's a refugee ship. I don't know what it is. Claiming to be a refugee, and they send me to a country that's probably worse off than where I was, you know. So then you have a green card. And I believe that's the way my mother came into the country from Ireland, is with a green card. And it's permanent residents who are not citizens who want to live in the country legally, all right? They're, like I said, they're not citizens, so they're not getting automatic citizenship. They're coming to the country. They're going to live by our rules and do the things that we have to do and all of that stuff. And they come here. And then those are eligible through your family, through your employer, through refugee asylum seekers. So like if you're a refugee asylum seeker and you go through one of the ports of entry to the United States and they grant you asylum, that you'll be given a green card. Now, a green card, okay, so that's a green card. So now you go to citizenship. Citizenship is holders of green cards that had a green card in good standing for 5 years can now apply to become American citizens. Once you apply to become American citizen, then you have to do an interview. You have to take an English test. You have to take a civics test. If you failed the English test or the civics test or the interview, you can retake it again in between 60 and 90 days. I don't know the exact number, somewhere around there. And then after that, you do the oath of allegiance. Now, I'll tell you, I wasn't really spun up on your oath of allegiance, but I read it after researching it, and I got to tell you, it's pretty motivating. You know what I mean? Like, anyone who takes this oath, listen, if you took this oath, God bless you. You know what I mean? Because you're giving up a lot from where you came from, and you're declaring your loyalty to a whole new country and the people of that country. And I read it and I said, listen, I got to write this down and I got to read it, on this video, because it just, I don't know, it kind of makes you feel like not just pride in the United States, but pride in the people that are coming to this country to make a better life for themselves or their family or whatever. And in that process, they're saying, listen, I come here, a clean slate. I'm ready to give Mother America everything I have. I'm willing to make every effort for this to be my country and to love, honor, obey, like the whole deal of this country, right? So here it goes. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and extremely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, 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 state or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject of citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States of America when required by law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law, and that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by the law, and that I will take this obligation freely, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Yo, if you're coming into this country and you're taking that oath, you're my brother, man. You're like if you're taking that oath and you mean it, you're saying those words and you're standing by that. Come on in. You know what I mean? Bring forth. Let's go. You know what I mean? I just the verbiage of that and all that. For you to read that and then go, yeah, I'm all in. Yeah, everything in there, I'll do that. You need me to be in the military, I'll be in the military. You need me to denounce where I came from, sure, no problem. Whatever you need. You need me to whatever the heck it said, to under civilian direction, national importance, to work under it for whatever it is. I got you. I'm all for it, man. I'm telling you, when I read this thing, I got goosebumps the first time, because I was like, people that are coming in legal immigration, they mean it. You know what I mean? Like they're here. It gave me a different insight into some of these people and the things that they're sacrificing, and it's greatly appreciated. I mean, it was greatly appreciated before, being the son of an immigrant. I wouldn't have been here if my mother wasn't an immigrant. But anyway, just it moved me when I read it, so I wanted to pass that on. So now, legal entry, right? So now you think, and this is what I thought. I thought that the southern border, it was like you had a place in San Diego, California, you had a place in like Yuma, Arizona, and some place in like wherever, Texas, that like you can come into the country. And if you can get into those spots, and probably the line is a mile long, and people are saying, oh, I want to be an American, and people giving them paperwork and are sitting there for hours or days or months or years or whatever, and just trying to figure it out. Well, it turns out, doing more research, that there's 49 points of entry in the southern border. 49. Okay, so there's 9 in California, there's 9 in Arizona, there's 3 in New Mexico, and there's 27 in Texas. Okay, so you can go to these places and legally request entry for asylum, right? So, which, don't get me wrong, it probably takes a long time. You know what I mean? You probably put in your paperwork. They probably tell you to go and fill it out, come back in a couple of months or whatever. But I think asylum seekers are a little bit quicker in the process than like, let's say you're in another country. Let's say you're in, I don't know, let's say Mexico, right? So you're in Mexico and you want to go to the U.S. I believe that you go to the U.S. Embassy and you say, hey, I want to go to the U.S. I want to get a green card. I want to get I want to get whatever, right? So you go there and they give you the paperwork to go to request that from the U.S. Department of State, right? That's where they send the paperwork. And then I believe that you could sit in your own country, in your own house, on your own couch with that request in and wait for a response, and I'm sure it takes forever. And I'm sure there's people get front of the line privileges. And I believe that, let's say they put a quota on, listen, we can let 50,000 people come in from Mexico a year, 50,000 people come in from Ireland, 20,000 people come from, Europe, or whatever it is, whatever the breakdown is. If people come illegally here, I would imagine it eats out of that quota. It says like, well, we just found out that there's 10,000 illegal aliens that came in 2018. So we can't take 50,000 now. There's 10,000 illegally here. We can only take 40,000. So that makes the waiting process in your own country a great deal longer. I would assume that just sounds like that makes sense. So knowing that you have all these avenues and all these ways that you can do it, it sounds like the biggest hurdle really is, one, being a good person, and 2, the wait. So let's say you put in for any of these things: citizenship, a green card, refugeeism, whatever, or asylum. They seem like they all are going to take some time, right? But you can handle this the right way, or you can handle it the wrong way, right? I kind of equate it to like robbing a bank, right? And just follow along for a second. So it's like you want $100,000, right? So you can either, one, you could work hard, you could save your money, You can spend 5 years saving $20,000 a year, depending on how much you make in life, and then have your $100,000, but it took you 5 years to get it. Or if you're not as fortunate, you could save $10,000 a year, working at a less paying job, and save and save and save, and now it's going to take you 10 years. But after 10 years, you're going to have your $100,000. Or after 5 years, you're going to have your $100,000. And then you can take that and do whatever you want with it and, enjoy it and be glad that you saved that amount of money, right? That's the right way, but it takes a long time. Or you can say, you know what? I'm going to rob a bank. I'm going to rob a bank. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get my $100,000 and then I'm going to leave, right? And let's say that you did that. Let's say you robbed the bank, got $100,000 and then left, right? I would think that for the rest of your life, you would have to kind of be like looking over your shoulder. Like you would have to assume that somebody somewhere is forever going to be trying to figure out who robbed this bank. Whether it's a cold case file and then it comes back and then blah, 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 and this, that, and the other thing. One day, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, somebody's come knocking on your door and you're going to be like, oh, I know exactly why you're here. And they're like, yeah, of course you do, because we figured out that you robbed the bank. You know what I mean? We didn't have the technology then that we have now, but now we have it. We found your DNA. We found your fingerprints. You sweated on the counter. We scooped it up. We had a swab. There you go. You're going to jail for the rest of your life. And you're like, oh, man, was that all worth it, right? I kind of see that the same way with illegal immigrants. Like, illegal immigrants come to the country and I kind of feel like they're always looking over their shoulder, like at any moment the shoe's going to drop and someone's going to snatch them up off the street or someone's going to show up at the doorstep. And the people that are showing up at the doorstep or snatching them off the street or whatever aren't going to say like, well, you came here illegally and we should have caught you when you did that, but we didn't. So now you got a job, you got married, you had kids, you're a family man and all this other stuff, that everything's great in your life right now and you never did anything else wrong. That's it. So you could just stay. They would just say, no, listen, we figured out that you robbed the bank. You're the bank robber. So now you have to pay for robbing a bank. So it doesn't make a difference that you robbed the bank 10 years ago and then now you're a model citizen and you have a wife and kids and everything, and when you robbed the bank, you didn't have a family and all that other stuff, but now you're the greatest person ever. We still have to go back to you robbing that bank, and that's a crime that you're going to have to pay for, right? So now the illegal immigrants are looking over their shoulder and wondering and all that other stuff. Now, me, that would give me agita. Like, every day, I'd be like, oh, no. Every time I see a cop car, every time I saw anything, I'd be like, looking at my neighbors like, you better not tell on me, you better not. So, but let's say that you got caught robbing a bank. Instead of you got your money, you left, and you spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. Now you actually got caught. You go into the bank, you grab the money, you're running out with those 2 bags with the dollar signs on them. You got the robber mask and the whole deal. And you run outside, and the cops are all there. They all got their guns drawn or whatever. Drop the bags, the whole thing, and they arrest you. You can't then say, like, no. All right, I give up. All right, I'll go back to working. I'll go save the $100,000. I was just joking. I was just playing. Like, you can't say like, oops, never mind. I'm gonna go and just start saving money, and in 5 or 10 years, then I'll have enough money to do that. You know what I mean? You can't. You either have to do things the right way, or you're gonna do things the wrong way. And if you do things the right way, what does the Statue of Liberty say? Give me your tired, your weak, your huddled masses. Bring them all in. Bring everybody who can come in, because everybody brings something to the table. Everybody. I've traveled this great country from shore to shore, from top to bottom, and I meet tons of people, and I'm telling you, immigrants are some of the best people in the world. They're just phenomenal people. I love America. I love the melting pot that it is, the diversity, the melding of ideas and cultures and foods and ways of life. But it shouldn't be allowed for the bank robber to just walk into a bank, stroll by everybody, and just go to the vault and take money out and turn around and leave when there's people or customers standing in line waiting for the bank teller so they could withdraw their own money. It just doesn't seem like that's the fair way of doing things. And what's fair is fair. If you do it right, you get all the rewards. You get all it has to offer. You get everything. The only downfall is that you have to be a good person, so you can't have any kind of bad past, and you have to wait. You have to wait the time and turn in line, and once you get your turn, then you get your turn. The more it's done illegally, the less legal is permitted, unfortunately. So what I would say in closing of this video is that if you do it the right way, there's plenty of legal ways to do it. And it doesn't seem like many of these ways are overly difficult. It seems like most of these ways of getting into the country is just saying basically like, we just want to know who you are, fill out the right paperwork, tell us what you have to offer, come into the country, be productive members of society, and listen, off you go. Here we go. You know, it doesn't make a difference what country you're from, or, well, I guess now it does make a difference what country you're from. There's some kind of immigration issues going on with some countries or whatever. But as far as Mexico's concerned and South America and stuff, you know, it doesn't make a difference. Just fill out the right paperwork, do the right thing, come to the country, be a productive member of society. We welcome you with open arms, take your oath, and life is great. We'll see you when you get here.